All right. Hello, everyone. We are here for our last night on Twitch for the Living Force. We have no Wes. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm a little scared. I'm a little cold, but I'm going to put all my trust in here right now. Corey, punch it.
Lame!
All right, what is up, everyone? Welcome into the Living Force. I am one of your hosts, Eric Eilerson, and joining me tonight on our last show on the Twitch platform is not everyone. We messed this up royally. I do have the doctors, though. I have Dr. Corey Helton. Hey, man.
What's up? What's up? I'm somehow running the cameras for the first time in like a year. I barely remember how to do this. We'll see if we can make it happen.
Well, I'm sure that'll become evident later on. We also have Dr. Charles Hankel. Hey, dude.
Hello there. Stoked for the first part 3 of a roundtable we've ever done, but RIP Wes Jenkins.
Oh, well, hold on. Here's the deal. What, that would be the way to announce it. Oh, my God. No, Wes is fine.
Wes is dead, everyone.
Wes Jenkins, our resident producer, master of the keyboard and everything. He lives in Texas, for those of you that don't know.
Texas, as some would say.
Yeah, or some would say the planet Hoth.
That's right.
For those of you unaware, if you're listening to this in future times, or you just aren't aware of the world around you, which, I don't know, Google something now and then. Wes and the rest of Texas got hit with a massive snowstorm, which is a huge deal in Texas. A lot of houses are without power. Wes is okay. He is safe, but his place is without power a lot, so he's unable to join us on this show. But I feel kind of empty, guys. I don't know. How do you feel about this? I'm a little colder than I thought I was going to be. Not just because I live in Chicago.
I mean, I'm kind of glad he's gone. That's just me.
All right. Okay. Charles.
Well, I'm sad. I'll say that.
Of course I miss Wes.
There's a chance that tonight I might be like, yeah, totally. Wes, what are your thoughts on that? And then I'll just be like, oh.
I'll just switch to his empty camera. Just nothing there. Just
awesome. That's
we can
a great idea.
we can imitate his voice. Oh yeah, I thought it was a really good book. I didn't finish it, but
I like to cheat at baseball. Slam.
That's like Wes.
Exactly. I've said a bunch of times that I think adding Wes was the best thing we ever did on the show.
Agreed. That and the lighting.
But mostly Wes.
As a whole. Mostly Wes. But yes, Wes, we love you. We miss you, buddy. We'll be happy to see you back when, the world rights itself a little bit. Hello to everyone as well, though. In the chat tonight, we have a lovely group of our Twitch faithfuls that we will see on YouTube next week. We're going to keep plugging away at that throughout this whole show. That next week we will be live on YouTube. But hello to everyone. I want to shout out Cheryl in the chat real quick because she asks Corey, what are you drinking? It looks delicious.
I am, that's a good question. I'm actually drinking Hazy Little Thing IPA by Sierra Nevada Brewing, which is right over here in Asheville, is not too far away, right outside of Asheville. It's a really cool brewery. If you ever make your way to the Asheville area, Sierra Nevada is the nicest brewery I've ever been to. It's like a flipping resort. It's incredible.
I'm such a typical millennial in that I do love a good brewery. I'm not gonna lie. I love a beer garden. I love an overpriced charcuterie board, but you're not here for that. You're here because you want to hear part 3 of our roundtable of Charles Soule's Light of the Jedi. If you missed our first 2 parts, pause this episode, go back there where we talked about the plot. We talked about the High Republic Initiative a lot. We talked about the characters. Tonight, we are going to be finishing up some overarching questions that Charles brought up about the book, as well as going through Charles's famous Easter eggs. Dude is literally the premier Easter egg finder on the Star Wars internet. Fight me. Don't really. I'm not a violent person. Really. I just want to love you and caress you. Anyway.
Oh, my God.
Speaking of love, I did want to notice that yesterday was Valentine's Day, and I wanted to ask you all, we are still amidst the COVID pandemic. The world isn't quite as easy as we'd want it to be, maybe for like date nights or big occasions. But did you guys do anything with your partners? Charlie and I stayed in. We watched the third To All the Boys movie on Netflix. It was wonderful.
Nice.
And we binged a lot of How I Met Your Mother. That was our day. What'd you guys do?
Nice. Well, we kind of chilled out. We planned to go get sushi actually, but that kind of fell through. We called them and it was like crazy packed, and I was like, I don't really want to go get coronavirus with all this. So
From a doctor. There you
that's
go.
right. We chilled at home. We ordered Five Guys. DoorDash had it delivered,
Yes.
and we watched the first of the last two Avengers movies. What's that first one called?
Oh,
Infinity War.
sweet.
We watched Infinity War last night.
Nice.
Always good to end Valentine's Day on an upper.
That's
I
right.
say. The end
It
of
was-
Infinity War. Just get you in the nice,
It
warm,
was
fuzzy place.
it was really hard to put the movie down at 10 o'clock last night and not watch like Endgame afterwards.
Oh,
Very
God,
hard. But
right?
you can't
Yeah.
start a 3-hour movie at 10 o'clock on a weeknight. You just can't.
Ooh, I haven't done the back-to-back yet,
Really?
but now I really want to. That
I
sounds
don't-
amazing.
I don't think I've even seen Endgame since theaters, honestly. So I'm excited.
Good film. Charles, what'd you do?
I worked, but Saturday night,
Lame.
Nicole and I were both off, and so we had dinner in. We had some nice steaks. We had cheesecake. Shared some gifts. I got chocolate, literally a bouquet of chocolate, and I gave her a bouquet of yellow roses because I'm romantic like that.
Wow, we're freaking lame,
Wow.
Eric.
Yeah, I do want to say, Charlie and I agreed not to get gifts, but she did give me one thing. Hold on a second.
Where's he going?
Let's see it.
What's he doing? It's a Funko. I know it is.
Look
Ha
at this
Yep.
trash!
Holy crap.
Charlie and I have a bit about how terrible these Star Wars Valentine's Day Funkos are.
That is awful.
They're literally just like they have puns on the bases. I'm putting it up to the camera. It
Oh my
says,
God,
I
I choose-
choose you.
Oh
Oh my
Lord.
God.
Look at this. So
This
yeah,
is,
okay,
this is,
but-
this is,
but-
this is
and
like
cackles.
as close to Beanie Babies as Funkos have ever gotten.
yeah.
But that being said,
Yes.
I know you, Eric, and our listeners know you, and you will now have to complete the set.
It's absolutely true. But so we did do that, and I will say I bought myself a Valentine's Day gift because you gotta love yourself, right? I got the from Galaxy's Edge. Charlie found a Disney personal shopper, and I got the Jedi Temple Guard and Asajj Ventress lightsabers from Galaxy's Edge. So that was my gift to
Awesome.
myself, and I got Charlie nothing. So that was our
Wow.
Valentine's Day.
Wow.
Except for love and affection. Corey, you, however, did a lot of other work this weekend. And I promise, folks, we are going to get to Light of the Jedi later, but I miss you guys when I don't see you. Tell them about the website. Tell them about the updates that we've done this
Yeah.
week, because Youtini is going through a massive 2021 facelift.
Yeah, I can absolutely do that. We've been super busy at Youtini. You guys have heard me talk about this a little bit last week. I've been doing a lot of crazy web design stuff, and I am very close to having a. I would say we're somewhere between alpha and beta in regards to the timeline, and I have a sample for you if you want to see it.
I love free
I wanna
samples.
see it.
Costco me in the face.
Yes, absolutely. So hope you guys are ready. This is a new version of the timeline. We'll probably have it done in the next, I would say, 2 weeks. I think the timeline will be live. Maybe in 2 weeks. We'll see.
Careful,
I know that's
careful.
dangerous. It's dangerous. It's dangerous. I'll have it finished. I'll have it finished in the next 2 weeks, but
There
it
we
might not
go.
be live on the site. Let's say that. We do have some back end stuff to do though. But ready?
Hashtag manage expectations.
I'm so
yes,
ready.
We're ready.
Do
All
it.
right, here we go. Oh wow, it's not the right size. Hold on. They gotta make it bigger. Da 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 da. All right, that's probably big enough.
Jeez.
That-
Anyway, make it not green.
Oh,
There
man.
we go. Yeah. Okay. So this is the new version of the timeline. It's all sleek and pretty with
The black and gold.
yes,
That's
with the
beautiful.
black and gold. Yeah, it's not showing up there. I gotta pull it down so I can see the top of it better. Yeah, it's got this sweet filtering on it. And
my
I'll show you that here in a
gosh.
second. But yeah, you can scroll down the timeline. We got titles on here. You can slide out lots of interesting data. We're gonna put IMDb information for all the films, and literally everything is on here. We got kids books. We got lots of kids book. Clone Wars episodes are gonna be on the timeline. TV
Yep,
show,
TV
everything.
episodes. Never had those
Wow.
before.
That's right.
Those are in now.
Comics, graphic novels, literally everything. And look at this sweet filtering menu that we have up here. This drops down. You can see all the different stuff that's going to be in the timeline. You can see just adult novels. You can see young adult novels. all the different eras, filter by search. That's never been we never had that before. So you can now like search for a book and find it on the timeline, that sort of thing. And it looks super good. I'm very pleased with this. This has been, I think, it's kind of, it's not lying when I say that it's taken us 3 years to get to this point, because
yes,
we have our database. I'm not sure if you guys know this, Eric and Charles. Our database has 4,000 books in it. 4,000.
That's like almost half as many as Trevor owns.
Seriously, it's incredible. 4,000 items are in the database. Like it takes a few seconds for it to load every time we pull it up. There's so much stuff in there now. It's really crazy, and we have all these really awesome automations that are sending things from our database to the website now. And there's no way we could have done this. And absolute huge shout out to the timeline guys. Trevor is a genius. Frank is a genius. And now Oz has been helping a little bit. Emma's been helping a little bit. We could not do this stuff without them. Yeah. They're just so nitty gritty. The way that Trevor dives into the timeline and places everything using this complex decimal system. It's a lot of hours that we have sunk into the behind the scenes work. And it looks all pretty and it's okay, it's book covers and stuff, but you guys you just don't even understand the amount of data moving or things around it has to do to get it to that point. So I'm super excited. And
we even have Trevor and Frank are in the chat right now at 2 or 3 in the morning for that.
That's right. Wow. Good Lord.
Guys, amazing. Seriously though, amazing work. And for everyone listening and watching, when the timeline is fully up, if you're like me, I like to organize my bookshelves by timeline, or if you're reading something and you're wondering, hey, did this happen till now? It doesn't matter if it's a comic. It doesn't matter if it's Legends. It doesn't matter whatever it is. Head to the Youtini timeline. Check it out. It is, we've said it's the most accurate timeline on the internet. And if you hang out, if you listen to Star Wars Archives for 15 seconds, you'll know that's true.
Yeah. So it's about to be the most comprehensive timeline too, I would say.
Absolutely.
I don't think beautiful.
That's right. I don't think anybody else has everything on their timeline. There's a couple folks out there that have some Excel documents and stuff, but this is going to have literally everything. Mandalorian episodes, everything is going to be on the timeline. So it's going to be incredible.
Can't wait. And we did adjust it to the Lucasfilm official eras now that they've added in the High Republic, so all the ages will line up with the timelines in front of the books. We got you.
Yeah,
we got you.
I'm super excited.
Congratulations. I can't wait for more of that, and of course, more things coming out every single week. But speaking of next week, our biggest announcement, which we have said a couple times, but I really want to say one last time. Next week is the Youtini Living Force 100th episode. Our big 100th episode spectacular. I don't want to hype it up too much because it'll be good. I don't know. It'll be fun. But most importantly, it will be on YouTube. We are switching our live platform from Twitch to YouTube. We've had a great time on Twitch, but we want to make sure that everyone has access. And everyone that subscribes to our awesome YouTube channel gets notifications when we go live on the Living Force. So next Monday, which is the 22nd, there we go, which is the 22nd, we'll be live for our 100th episode on YouTube. And Corey, remind me, we're doing our new time next week. Is that correct?
Yes, we are also doing a new time next week. We're going to be starting at 8 p.m. Eastern time, 8 p.m., an hour later than we usually do. I think that might be, depending on how it goes, that might be the new permanent time. We had to work around Charles' schedule a little bit, but I think we can make 8 p.m. the permanent time, which would be better for our West Coast folks. So I'm excited to do that.
You know, a lot of folks, even if you're in Central, if you're in Mountain, no matter where you are, at least US based, we want to make it as easy as possible to watch live. And if you're elsewhere in the world, hopefully this shift will help you as well. And of course, all the other stuff is staying. We're still recording the show. We're still putting it up on YouTube. We're putting it up in audio. So thank you all so much. Oh, and here come the final Joxy 200 bits because bits will be gone. So yeah, I guess use them up if you got them.
That's right.
Thank you so much. All right, a couple other updates before we get back into Light of the Jedi tonight. We have a new patron, Tracy Yao, who joined us as a monthly patron. Thank you so much. We hope you're enjoying many things, including, like we said last week, our Phantom Menace film commentary. We hope that some of you have been able to listen to that already yourselves. I know Trev said he listened to it without even watching the film because, some of us have memorized it to that point. You can figure out where we are.
If anybody definitely has been Trevor, so.
Exactly. So if that's something you want to do, go ahead, throw that on during your workday, hear us chat about the Phantom Menace, and of course everything else in that Patreon feed. And Charles, can you please intro my favorite segment of the week?
Yes, indeed. So the patron of the week is what Eric is probably referring to. And this week, our patron of the week is Maggie, aka Magda Life, in our Discord server, one of our really active members, a lot of fun. She sent us in some audio, so I'll shut up now and we will play that.
Hi everyone, my name is Maggie. I go by Magda Life in the Youtini Discord. I live in New York, the greatest city in the world. And for this award, I would like to thank the Academy, my parents, just kidding. But for real though, thank you for picking me to be patron of the week. I'm actually about 1 month away from the first anniversary of my deep descent into my Star Wars fandom. I've always liked Star Wars, but in more of a passive way. Like many who were young in the 90s, my dad sat me down and played me the original trilogy on VHS many times. It was the gold box set with the Darth Vader's cardboard head as the lid. But I didn't read my first Star Wars book until March 18th of last year. I looked it up in my Goodreads account. Honestly, what prompted me to start Googling my Star Wars questions was the realization that there are too many important words in Star Wars that start with R. I truly could not have told you at that point the difference between the Rebellion, the Republic, and the Resistance. I'm good now, though. Don't worry. I found the Youtini timeline after realizing just how much knowledge there is out there and realizing that if I was going to shove it all into my little goldfish brain, I was going to need to go in order. I have now read 36 Star Wars novels, and I can still say that my favorite Star Wars is The Empire Strikes Back. Although Rebels is a really close second. The Ghost Crew podcast is actually what made me sign up to be a patron. But anyway, I love Hoth. Leia's outfit and the snow and watching that AT-AT fall down with the wire wrapped around its legs are some of my very oldest memories. Is there a better first fictional role model than Princess Leia? This leads me directly to my question for the hosts. Imagine right now that you have long, flowing, luscious brunette locks. Who is your style icon? Princess Leia or Queen Amidala? You can choose any Leia hairstyle from the OT, except maybe when it's unbraided on Endor because that's a cop-out, or any of the actual Queen hairstyles from The Phantom Menace. Caveat that you don't actually have to do the hair yourself. In this hypothetical, you have all the handmaidens you need. Okay, go.
Oh, man. Oh,
Wow.
That's great. First of all, Maggie, I want to say, because you talked about Hoth so much, I blame you for what's going on outside my window with the copious amounts of horrendous winter weather that I've gotten in Chicago. But, guys, that's a great question. I mean, so my gut says, whenever I hear style icon, I gotta go to Padme. But weirdly, I thought about the hair that's like, it's when they go and visit Naboo, I think. When she has her it's in Revenge of the Sith when she's on the landing and it's like long. Mm-hmm. But episode 1 specifically, there's a lot of good. I'm having trouble picking one. What do you guys think? We got a lot of good style icons here.
There is a lot of good style icons. My favorite of Padme's hair, actually, here I'm gonna cheat. I'm gonna pull up the screen share.
You can control it.
I can control it. It's this one. It's when
that's the one I meant. That's the one I meant.
Yes, when
actually,
Anakin when Anakin has the bad dream or whatever, and they go out on the balcony together.
She literally woke up like that.
Yes,
she
I mean,
woke up like
look, it's curly and luscious, and Natalie Portman was the biggest crush of my life growing up. So
yes, the past tense. I see.
Yes, I'm married now, so I have to use past tense. So there we go.
You don't have crushes anymore. I remember. But
okay. I also it's got to be Padme, but I'm gonna choose from the end of Ep 1. I just love to look at the parade at the end when she's got the white dress and the full white face paint, but she's got her hair kind of in like multiple little, I don't know, they're almost like Leia buns, but there's like 3 or 4 of them not covering her ears. I'm gonna go with that one.
That's a dope look.
Here. Wait, I got it.
Put up.
This one right here.
That's
this
the
one.
Yes.
Yep.
That's
there you go.
Dude, that is some Leia Padme. That is a Rey precursor if I ever saw one. That's
right.
100%.
Exactly. It's got some Rey vibes to it. Yeah.
You have to. This is a good time to just appreciate just how much.
Don't choose that half circle down there. Don't choose that.
Where half circle? I don't see
that one in the middle. I don't.
What, this one?
The cover of Queen's Barrel.
That one.
Yeah.
I don't choose that one.
No.
Fair enough. Yeah, you have to appreciate, like, look at all the hairstyles. And good Lord, the costume designers in Star Wars. This is absolutely incredible. Like, absolutely incredible.
I do want to say one thing about the one that Corey and I picked. I feel like that's the most like easy dude hairstyle because I love it, but we're like, oh, it's so effortless because she just wakes up in it. But realistically, that took hours of time, which is the most like, oh, I love it when you look natural, which means like I love that you took hours of your life to make this look effortless. Anyway, fantastic question, Maggie. And Maggie, you are a gem in the Youtini community.
Absolutely.
So happy to hear that you're.
I don't know if you guys noticed that, but she could totally be like an audiobook narrator or something. Like
that was great.
Yes,
that was phenomenal.
Yeah. You have a good narration voice. I don't know what it is.
Podcast.
Yeah,
absolutely.
There you go.
And also thanks for your nice words about the Ghost Crew. We love doing that. So thank you so much for that Rebels love. I love our community. Y'all great people. Again, keep your eyes out. You may be our next patron of the week. All right. An abbreviated version now of the Star Wars Weekly Roundup. Not a ton of giant Star Wars news this week, but a couple things we want to make sure we note. First of all, the High Republic Into the Dark continues the epic run of High Republic novels because it debuted at #1 on the YA New York Times bestseller list.
Nice.
Holy crap. Light of the Jedi is still on there. I believe it was in its 4th week. So huge congrats to Claudia Gray, everyone at Lucasfilm and Del Rey, or no, not Del Rey for that one because it's YA, but at Lucasfilm for the awesome releases of that. Into the Dark, I know a lot of our community has already read and loved it. Our reviews are up. The Roundtable will be coming soon. I'm not going to say which week it's going to be because I haven't asked Charles yet. So let's make sure that I do that first before I sign out. Coming soon. So congratulations to Claudia Gray and the High Republic team. A little bit of other news that got mentioned in Star Wars this week. There were some casting announcements. Probably the biggest one was the fact that Gina Carano is out of The Mandalorian because of her past behavior. We've talked about that at length and do not want to give it a ton more talk on this air. We will, however, give some time to our boy Pedro Pascal, the Mandalorian himself, who landed the lead role in the Last of Us adaptation at HBO, which is freaking incredible.
Yeah. That's nuts.
Like, did you guys play Last of Us?
I never played Last of Us. Now, I've seen the gameplay a lot. I have watched. It's one of the games that I've watched some of the gameplay on YouTube of.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Fantastic. No, Charles?
Never played it, no, but everyone I know who's played it just adores it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is really, really, truly incredible. One of my favorite games I've ever played, and I can't wait to see Pedro in it.
I know. I loved him in the Wonder Woman movie. I know not everybody loved the Wonder Woman movie, but his character was phenomenal in Wonder Woman 1984. I absolutely loved him. That meme format where he's like, it's good, but it could be great. I love that so much. Such a great format.
So stoked that Pedro, and he's like the nicest guy in the world. Give him all the money, give him all the roles. Congratulations, man. And so stoked that another member of the Star Wars family is finding success elsewhere. And finally, we got a tease today. By the time you hear this, if you're not hanging out live, this will be old news. We got a tease on StarWars.com of a picture of Boba Fett. Corey, if you want to throw that up real quick, there was literally an article that showed this teaser of Boba Fett with a freaking spear and a gun, and there's the Marvel logo. And they said there's something that's going to be announced tomorrow, Tuesday. And it was retweeted by Charles Soule. It was talked about by Matt Martin. Like, that's a lot of people that talk about what seems to be just a comic picture, don't you think?
It does. And he is, it looks like Jango Fett's pistol. I've never seen Boba Fett with the pistol like that before, right?
That's a great point. No.
I haven't looked at this image that closely, but I always do this whenever we have something new live on the show like this. I don't know what this Aquaman trident thing is. That's pretty rad.
John Dutch Vander in the chat says, is that a freaking Beskar trident?
I don't know. Maybe so.
Sure.
What do you guys think this is going to be? Is this going to be a maybe a tie-in to the Book of Boba Fett?
I think so. I think based on Charles Soule's like Twitter fun he's having today, my official guess, I tweeted this out earlier, was that this is going to be like a limited series, like maybe 5-6 issues. And it'll be Boba Fett's journey from out of the Sarlacc pit and Return of the Jedi till we meet him in Mandalorian season 2.
That would be very, very good. Boba Fett is one of my favorite characters. I know that's super cliche to say, but like I've always really enjoyed Boba Fett in the expanded universe, like particularly like the Mandalorian Armor series, which I know that you guys have not read, if I remember correctly.
Nope.
It's really good. Like he talks about and Boba Fett's story of getting out of the Starlight pit. I can't. It's been literally more than a decade since I've read that book. I cannot remember if that's where it happens, but I love that stuff. I'm excited to see what this is, and if this does tie into the Book of Boba Fett TV show, this will be the first time the books have tied into the shows. It hasn't been done yet.
That directly, yeah, and that
live action awesome. Anyway. We didn't get anything Mandalorian, so not yet. Yeah. There is a book coming, but
got delayed a year. But I think it'd be a cool idea because I think that Boba Fett show, of course, it might have some flashbacks, right? Because this whole story, but I think if they tell the majority of the Boba Fett past in a comic, then the show can do what we love so much, which is go forward, which is tell the new stuff. I mean, they've been so good with that. And I'd hate for that show to get bogged down in like, well, how did you escape the Dune Sea? Every freaking episode, Yeah.
Totally.
But I'd love that. So if you're listening to this, let me know if I was right, I guess, We'll find out tomorrow with you. So very excited about that. Of course, every week there's new Star Wars stuff being announced. We'll tell you about it in the weekly roundup. If there's any reference books you need, if there's any comics coming out, very excited for all of that. All right. We're going to skip book reviews again this week so we can finally, at almost 30 minutes in, talk about Light of the Jedi a little bit. Let's hit a little merch ad so you can see what kind of Youtini merch you need to get for your Valentine that you absolutely forgot about. And then we'll finish up our Light of the Jedi roundtable. All right. Oh my gosh. Joxy, thank you for just offloading those bits, buddy. You are an all-time legend. Real quick before we get into Charles and our questions and Easter eggs, I wanted to bring a little notice to this thing I have next to me, which is a Ryzen processor. And the reason I have it here is that on this very show weeks ago, I mentioned it was my New Year's resolution to try to build a PC. And I wanted to let you, the viewers and listeners, know I am starting to do that. Because my computer is not great. And I do hope that I can do some more streaming on the Youtini game night stuff, that I can, do crazy things like run Discord and Audacity at the same time, and things like that. So the processor is bought. I bought a motherboard. I am on my way. So my fellow PC builders, I'm excited to join your ranks. I will still be gaming on my consoles, but I'm coming.
We'll see how long that lasts.
I'm trying to keep my promise.
PC Master Race. We'll see how long that lasts. Charles, you're next.
That's right.
Apparently. But meanwhile, I'm spending my money on awesome Star Wars related t-shirts from Etsy. I'm going to show this off. If we're showing things off.
Do it, man.
This is my Palpatino's Pizzeria shirt. And it says home of unlimited toppings. And you can see Palpatine and his slice of ultimate pizza. And I'm quite pleased with it. It was from I think the guy whose store I bought it from was Beelzebub Ross, which is a combo of Beelzebub, I guess, and Bob Ross. I don't know, but check his store out. I loved this shirt. So
that's spectacular. Not sponsored, but just a great shirt.
Not sponsored.
Two last things from the chat before I give it to you, Charles. We talk about Light of the Jedi for the last time, for a little bit at least. Be Nasty 0303 does ask, speaking of, when we switch to YouTube, will Youtini Game Night also be going to YouTube, or will it stay here on Twitch? Corey, what's the answer to that? I forgot. I think it's saying on Twitch.
I don't know. I don't know if you're pausing for dramatic effect or because you didn't know the answer.
It was both.
Yes, everything is going to YouTube. We're moving everything to YouTube entirely. We do have a pretty decent sized channel over there already. We just crossed 1,000 subscribers, right? A couple weeks ago. So we're gonna move everything to YouTube going forward. So, yep.
All right.
Everything.
And Alex does ask on that note as well. Asked me to do a live stream of building my PC while discussing Star Wars. Maybe if I find a way that I can do that on this computer before building the new computer, it will computer, and I will computer. So we'll see. All right, Charles, enough of this nonsense. Let's talk about Star Wars.
All right, let's do it. So, last week we left off talking about Chancellor Soule and the Starlight Beacon, and I did have some more questions about it, but y'all just told me that you think it's going to get blown up here in a short fashion. So I think we can actually just kind of move on from those things. I do though want to talk about Chancellor Soule and her relationship with the Jedi and the Republic's relationship with the Jedi. And the Jedi and the Republic, as we know,
purely sexual.
It is. It is not platonic at all. No, but the Jedi and the Republic, they've had a really close relationship since we first saw them together, if you will, in the prequels. Now I can't get that out of my head, Eric. And the High Republic continues to demonstrate that relationship, but kind of in a new way. And I'm wondering how you view that relationship during the High Republic era, and how do you think it differs from what we've seen before?
It's kind of ideal, isn't it? Like it's everything I think the prequel Jedi thought they were doing, and they're like, oh yeah, we're working together. We got a good working relationship. Like, yeah, we argue. It's kind of like when a couple's gonna break up and they keep making excuses. They're like, oh yeah, no, but like we're good, But I think the High Republic Jedi actually are, like I think they're actually working very synergistically. They do things very well. The politicians do things very well, and they each give each other the space to do that. And I think the arguments that Charles Soule writes into Light of the Jedi between was a senator from Sereno and the Jedi are very natural. Like they want to give a little, get a little, give a little, get a little. But at the end of the day, I don't think that Soule does the easy trick of making all politicians idiots. You know what I mean? Because I think Star Wars does that a little bit, doesn't it?
Yeah, totally. And I was actually going to say that I don't really know what the state of the rest of the galaxy is, because like the one thing we've gotten is this sort of like idealistic Chancellor Soule stuff, right? Like maybe everybody else is a corrupt a-hole and we just don't even realize it. Maybe she's blind to it, right? Maybe we're on our way to the state of the galaxy in the prequels. I'm not sure. I don't know. I'm really excited to kind of see more of what this is. Like, is the Republic, does it have seeds of corruption? Is it already pretty screwed up? Like, what is the state of? I'm excited to kind of learn more about that, I think, because I'm very interested in how we arrive to what we got in the prequels. I'm very interested in that. You guys keep hearing me bring that up on the show about like, do you think we're gonna get that? Are we gonna see the transition? Like, because I want to know what the hell happened. It's only 300 years, so.
Well, and that's the interesting thing too, is that galactic time is so vast, and like some Wookiees may have been alive, right? But like that's like longer than the life cycle of America right now that we have between those for the political system. So I'm wondering if like we might have a little bit of peace and goodness for at least a couple of years, and maybe that's how the last phase ends. And real quick for 2 seconds, I do want to shout out Maggie. Actually came into the stream a little late tonight and missed her Patron of the Week video, but Maggie, it was great. Watch it back later. We love you. It was wonderful. Your Halloween costume was an all-timer.
Yes, absolutely.
Let me catch you up on the recent stuff. Eric has declared the Jedi and the Republic organizations with benefits.
Yep.
And what about the droid attack on the Wookiees? and that's about it.
Nobody still cares. That's it.
Y'all, I agree with what you're saying. And we're going to obviously get a lot more about and a lot more about the Republic and how it gets us to the prequels. But, on page 354, finds herself talking about the Jedi specifically. And we get this quote: "She loved the Jedi, but sometimes she wondered if they were too useful." And without knowing exactly what she means by that, one, do you agree? And two, what does that mean? What is she trying to
Man,
say?
I love
Is
that.
she foreshadowing what comes during the prequel era, or what's
yes,
going on?
I love that. I love that theory because we talked a little bit about last week. Like you asked the question, Charles, like, maybe it was the first week. You said, are the Jedi too good, right? And so far in the High Republic. And I have thought about that question a lot while driving down the road. I'm like, are the Jedi too good? Like, I've literally thought about this like multiple times in the last week or so. And like, I actually think I want to change my answer to yes. I think they are too good. And there's just nothing but righteousness. Even who is it? Avar Chris and who's the romantic
Elzar Man?
Yes, even Azar Chris and Elzar Man, like them so openly discussing the romantic relationship. It makes me sick, right? It's just like, come on. Like, you don't have any flaws whatsoever. Like, come on. Like, like almost to the point that it's annoying, perhaps. So I'm interested to see kind of like what that actually means. What do you think, Eric?
Well, because I see the opening, I'm going to bring this back to Loden Greatstorm. So because what I think is so great about Loden, other than the everything about him, is the fact that when he's teaching Bell, you brought this quote up, I think last week or the week before, Charles, that he taught Bell through a method of if Bell could do something, Loden would make him do it, even if Loden could do it easier, right? And that's how he learned, that's how he got better. And I think this quote is about the fact that the Jedi can actually do anything. And I think that the Republic may get too used to the Jedi being the safety of like, if we screw up too much, the Jedi will take care of it. Oh, if we do this, the Jedi will take care of it. And the more you put your faith in the Jedi, the more, one, they can disappoint you, which we've seen countless times, specifically in that season 7 Clone Wars arc with Ahsoka's walkabout with the sisters. Like the Jedi were fighting someone and they crashed through their building, so now they got disillusioned with the whole order. So I think that kind of stuff can happen more often, but also like it makes the politicians not have to work as hard because we'll call the Jedi. We'll call the Jedi. And I think the Chancellor So is a smart enough character, which is again another way that Charles Soule subtly writes her with a lot of intelligence and foresight, that she can see that she needs every faction of her government on the top of their game. I need the senators ready, I need the scientists ready, and I need the Jedi ready. And if the Jedi get a little too helpful with everything, everyone else is going to kind of relax at their posts. And because of that, the whole Republic is going to be less effective.
I like that.
Yeah, I like that too. Now, on the heels of that question, and Corey, I need you to really focus for this one. Is the Republic what leads to the downfall of the Jedi? Or are the Jedi what leads to the downfall of the Republic?
Oh my God, that is such a deep question, Charles. Holy crap.
I know.
Oh my God, I don't know the answer to that at all. Like that is way too, I would have, this is another driving down the road question for the next couple of weeks. I don't know, man. I don't know. I think they
maybe
go.
This should just be a future episode.
Yes, exactly. They very well could be a whole episode.
I think the answer, Charles, is yes.
Okay. Well, I can give you an easier question. I think it is something to think about.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I will say that I think the Jedi and the Republic right now are kind of separate entities in the High Republic era, right? Like it seems like the Jedi are these heroistic type group that can just do these godlike things, right? And the Republic is the body in which they sort of work in, but they're still distinctly separate. Whereas in the prequels, they're almost the same. Like they have to think about what their decisions, how they're going to affect the Senate, and how does the Senate's decision affect the Jedi. Like it doesn't seem like the High Republic Jedi are doing that as much, right? They seem a little more independent.
Yeah.
So
and I think there's also a great point off of that, Corey, where at this time in history, the Jedi and the Senate don't have to worry about the Republic crumbling out of war. They can worry about things like external threats and things like helping the people because you're not trying to keep a government together. And I think the prequel Jedi and the prequel politicians are all trying just to keep the wheels spinning so they can't focus on actually aiding. And I think in that way, the High Republic writers are writing a more idealized universe. And I think that a lot of this at its core comes from us expecting the good to fall out of the bottom. And I think there's also a distinct possibility that maybe they're simply just writing a better world. You know, they're actually just writing a universe in which we don't have to worry about universal crumble. So we can worry about things like external threats, like, and things like feeding their people, like, you know, idealized politics. Like when you're not worried about your country falling apart, you can focus on other threats. And I wonder if that's the guide they're taking, or if it is all crumbling internally. I think it's also a possibility. Yeah,
John Dutch Vander brought up a good point earlier that I actually want to pop out into this conversation. I'm not sure where I was going with that. He said that man, what is in this? Jesus. He said that they can be weaponized. The Jedi's sort of diehard goodness can be weaponized. So that might be a really clever way to see, like, it's kind of like Marcia and Rose trap that he had. Well, not trap, like prison that he has for Greatstorm, right? Like he's utilizing the Jedi's greatest weakness against them, right? Like that they're so good, right? So maybe that's what
too much.
Exactly. Maybe that's how we're gonna see the Jedi come to an end in a way, right? Like maybe it's gonna be maybe they're gonna use that against them. It's gonna be some horrible trap that comes back to bite them or something. I don't know.
Yeah. And hey, if we're really going Arthurian, like the Arthurian legend is great because every threat is external until literally the end. Until you get to the point where, like, spoilers for Arthurian mythology, where like Mordred from inside corrupts because of Morgana Le Fay, who then traps Merlin and blah blah blah. But like Arthur's can only be taken down by his own knights, and I wonder if eventually the Order is so powerful that it's going to be one of their own, kind of doing something internal, depending on how close they want to stick to that mythology.
Like Anakin.
Potentially, Charles. Yeah.
All right. So there's this thing called Order 66 that we'll get to next week.
I'm excited.
But
oh man.
All right. Let's get a palate cleanser in here since we're talking about the Jedi. I gotta know, which of the Jedi from this story would you want to be your master, and who would you want to be your Padawan? And it's okay if you don't remember everyone's exact rank. You can choose a master as your Padawan, etc. I just want to know who they would be.
Okay.
I have an easy answer. Elzar Mann is obvious for me. I love
as your master.
Yes, and I want to steal for freaking Eric steals him. Yes, as my master. Yes, because Elzar Mann, like I love how outside the norm he is. Like I really relate to that a lot. I'm pretty kind of anti the system and like screw the way that everybody does things. Like I try to bend the rules a lot. It gets me in trouble a lot with like my job and stuff like that. And like I don't like norms, man. And I really enjoy how he talks about how he's been held back and they won't make him a master because they don't like the way he does things. He's always experimenting and he won't just stick with something. And like, how many hobbies do I have? Like, holy crap. Like I'd be great. I'd love him. I love him. He's my favorite character in the books.
Yeah. So as much as people might have thought I would have gone Lord and Greatstorm, I was probably thinking Elzar Mann for myself as well. As far as like realistically, who I would want to be a master, Elzar Mann. I think he's more flexible. So I'm actually going to go with something that Trevor put in the chat, and he said, "Sorry, Eric, but I'm going to go with it." Oh, with Porter Angle.
Ooh,
I would love to have Porter Angle as my master.
Yes,
that's my choice.
Blade of Bardana himself.
The Blade of Bardana.
You're gonna eat well. Remember, he's a great cook,
right, he's a cook.
You're gonna kick ass with a lightsaber. I mean, it's a win-win.
Yeah, no, that'd be great. Runner-up, I would say Jorah Mally, who seems pretty great. That's more of an into the dark conversation. But for Padawan, though, I will take the fast one just because I think it's written so well. This might be a cop out, but Bel Zettifar as Padawan, he seems awesome. Like he learns so well. He's not like a rigid, like I will follow all the rules Jedi. He's got some emotion to him, but he's always willing to try. He's willing to fail, and he's willing to try again. And I think that as a teacher, you can't ask any more from a student. You want someone that is able to know their own limits, but understand that if you ask them to push them, that you have your reasons. So this also makes me want more Porter and Bell than we even got. We did get a little bit of it, but their relationship would be very cool. So I'm going to be trained by Porter Angle, and then when I take my Padawan, I'm going to train Bel Zettifar.
What about you, Charles? Who would you choose?
My Padawan, Porter Angle as master, 100%. Padawan Buryaga.
Oh, you were Cheryl. She just wrote in the chat. Nice.
Yep.
Okay, nice. We're at same wavelength. I choose him because he is just like, he's just pure. we got to protect Buryaga. And so I would take him on as my Padawan. And I mean, as early as I can remember, I've wanted to be friends with a Wookiee because of Han and Chewie. So of course I'm going to choose Buryaga.
Yeah. Which also shout out to Spice Dan put it earlier, Master Nib Osek, Buryaga's master, who, she learned Shuriwook for her Padawan. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
That's a great master.
It's pretty good.
Corey, who are you teaching, man?
Man, I don't know. I do like Bell a lot. I think he's a good Padawan. I don't know who I would choose. I'm not learning his free look. Sorry, Buryaga. I'm not doing that crap. No. Yeah, I think I'll go with Bell. Bell's pretty good. I enjoy how humble he is. Like he really. We talked about him a lot in the last episode. Like I really do enjoy how optimistic he is about being a Jedi. So I'm a big fan of him.
Okay.
Nope.
Well, I love it. I want to hear what everyone's picks are in the chat, but we've got to move on to something pretty heavy. Y'all, that was the palate cleanser, like I said, and now we have to discuss the epilogue from this book.
Yes.
Right, now, basically what it comes down to, the meat of the issue is that Elzar Mann has this terrible Force premonition. Mm-hmm. And there are two quotes that I want to read, and then we can kind of take it from there. The first is page 367, and it's actually from before this premonition. And it says, Markian Ro reached inside his tunic and pulled out an object of stone and metal, a rod. This is gonna make me laugh.
Let's keep it PG, guys. Keep it PG.
Keep it together.
You got this.
It says,
great scene.
Carved and incised with symbols, screaming faces, fire, chains.
Keep it together, Charles. Keep it together.
I am the one who gets all the Slack warnings, and then on the show.
We said we're going to try to get kicked off of Twitch in our last episode, so here it goes. It says it began to grow.
It doesn't help that they're in a sex dungeon as he pulls this out of his cloak, right?
Oh my God.
All right. Long story short, I cannot read this whole quote. He's got this weird weapon, and we don't know what it is.
Is it a weapon? Is it a weapon?
Well, I don't know. Maybe. That's what I'm choosing to believe.
It is an ancient object of sexual origin.
My gosh. All right, Charles, what page was this again? I can take over for your
367 and let me chuckle in the background while you go.
All right.
Dark secrets, rituals only the Sith would know.
Mute yourselves, children. All right, here's what it was. All right.
Oh my God.
Oh man.
Markian Ro reached inside his tunic and pulled out an object of stone and metal. A rod 3 hands long. Mute yourselves, children. Carved and incised with symbols, screaming faces, fire, chains. It looked as if it had been melted once and reforged. As his hand touched the object, it began to glow a sickly purple color that somehow overpowered the star-bright lighting of the prison deck. This thing was almost as fully to blame for what happened to his ancestors as the Jedi, but that was an old story, and this was a new time. He could accomplish what they had not.
Beautiful. Beautiful. That is perfect.
Thank you.
I'm crying.
Thank you, because I wasn't gonna get through that.
I felt it feels like we are in 8th grade health class right now.
We are, but this is like one of those moments where really you're only laughing because you shouldn't be laughing right now. Like that's what makes it funny. Anyways. All right. Then on page 377, we have the actual premonition that Elzar Mann has. And it says, awful visions flashed before his eyes, things he couldn't understand, cast in a sickly purple light. Jedi, many he knew, friends and colleagues, horribly mutilated, fighting battles they could not win against awful things that lived in the dark, things that lived in the deep. Evil, horror, sweeping across the galaxy like a tide. He saw Jedi dying, screaming, and himself, last of all, unable to escape what was coming. So, something wicked this way comes.
Yeah.
What is going on?
I don't know, man. It's I don't know what this means. Like it's like I have no idea where the High Republic is going to go. Like I think this is a good place to point that out. Like it's not predictable at all.
Awesome.
Yes.
And like the fact that like the description of this device Ro has is like it's clearly going off of some of like, oh, it's like a Sith blank, right? That's as Star Wars fans, that's where we go. It's some kind of dark side thing. but it's this mysterious thing, purple instead of red. Even that is just, something. But I love the idea that Marchion Ro has held on to this artifact. And I feel like he's someone that we're going to see as time goes on, because he's going to be in more stuff, like, you can't get rid of me that easily. So I got to get them all out. But I am excited to see what happens with this thing. Cause like, do you think it's an old artifact? Do you think that it is like an ancient Sith light weapon? Like, or does it absorb souls? Like what in the world? You know what I mean?
I don't know. I don't know what this thing is. I mean, other than being a sex dungeon object, I mean, I don't know what this thing is. Yeah, I mean, is this some kind of Sith ritual force sensitive thing? What is it? Is it a holocron? I don't know. I really have no idea. It sounds like I was thinking of the dagger a lot from The Rise of Skywalker.
Ooh, sure.
And like,
sure, that makes sense.
Rey holds it and she's like, what does she say? She's like, this thing has seen, or terrible things have happened with this weapon or something like that, right? Like,
yeah.
Well, and the fact that it was like forged with like the screams and anguish on it, really, like you were saying, Charles, ties into that vision. And I like how that vision was very visceral, but it was also extraordinarily vague, because in the broader scheme, Charles Soule has no idea who's going to be writing this part of the story necessarily. Like they're all in on it. Mm-hmm. But like, I think as a writer, that's honestly a kind thing to do to your next creator, is like, I'm going to write this vision, but I'm not going to write word for word what has to happen in the 8th book or whatever it means. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I know.
I really like that idea. But I want to ask you guys, Charles, I don't know if you have this in your notes already. It might be a spoiler if you do. But at the end of the first issue of the High Republic comic, Skier has a horrifying vision where he just screams no repeatedly. And did you guys read that? And 2, do you think it's the same vision?
I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah, to be honest with you, I've only read issue 1. I haven't gotten to 2 yet. And so it's really just Skier dropping, to his knees and like screaming no. So I have no idea what was going on there, but it would make sense to me that more than one Jedi, especially, now during like the pinnacle of the Jedi, would have these force premonitions and would probably foresee something this terrible coming.
Yeah. And I think the possibility of it being like the Nihil, because like the fact that this book ends with these space pirates now being led by this guy who has this ancient weapon, who knows how to manipulate the Sith, and also saying that weapon itself was as responsible for his ancestors' downfall as the Jedi, which means it's separate from. It also makes me very interested. Like, if it's a Sith artifact, and is he against both of them? Is he just like anti the Force? Like I'm not sure. That's interesting.
They should give it a C-3PO so we can not be able to translate it.
Oh my God.
What is this? I don't know. I mean, I do know, but it's a whole thing.
I love that plot line, just for the record, in regards to the Rise of Skywalker. I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah. Because it's Babu Frick. Come on.
I know.
Marchion Ro is ready. Like, it's great.
So we may find out in the future. No, we will find out in the future, but it may be a long time before we actually do know exactly what was going on in that epilogue. But for now, we're going to leave that behind, and we are going to move on to our Easter eggs and connective tissue.
Charles, do you even hear the ambulances anymore?
I tune them out, honestly.
Me and Eric are just like, what the hell is happening?
I told you there was a massive storm here, and that's probably like the 5th ambulance that's gone by in the past 30 minutes.
Yeah.
But right. Anyway, Star Wars.
Easter eggs, fine. Connective tissue, and ambulances. On page 37, we get this quote. According to their teachings, a true Jedi's only contact with fear was supposed to be sensing it in other beings. There's really no prompt there. I just think that's awesome.
It is odd. Sensing in other beings?
Yes. Yeah. So like they're not even supposed to feel fear on their own. They're only supposed to sense it in other people.
That is interesting. Is that different than that is opposite of what Yoda taught Luke, right? Because
fear leads to the dark side. So if you allow yourself to feel fear, I think it's the beginnings of Yoda.
Fear leads to hate, or fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate, and hate leads to suffering, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Interesting. I like it.
I like that. Maybe Yoda's like, ooh, I'm gonna write that down. That's good.
Yeah. Yeah. On page 48, though, speaking of Yoda, we get the quote, "No matter what a person was on the outside, inside everyone was made of light." So that's kind of a reference to luminous beings are we, right?
Yeah,
from
definitely.
episode 5.
Yep,
Luminous beings, clever.
On page 49, we get the Jedi ships, the vectors requiring a lightsaber key. And I know we talked about that a little bit, but I'm wondering, is the saber itself like the actual energy source for like the bolts, like the blaster bolt that gets fired from the ship, like similar to the Death Star laser, or does it simply like unlock an innate weapon system?
I think it is the source, because Loden's gun fires gold and others fire, I think it's whatever color your crystal is, that seems to be the color of the bolt, which also, if this ever goes to visual media in like a cartoon or a movie, if we can have a bunch of different Jedi ships firing different lightsaber colored bolts in space, I'm going to cry out of pure ecstasy.
Yeah.
But I think that's what it is.
That's interesting.
Okay.
I was actually going to say the opposite, that I thought it was just a key. Like it was more of a philosophical, like ethical conundrum rather than a literal power source. I mean,
Spice said in the chat, saving us as always. He says, I think it's part of it because Tayami mentioned her hilt getting hot.
oh, that's
when
true.
She pulled it
That's
out.
a good
So it was
point,
being
actually.
Accessed in some way.
Yeah.
Spice Den, you're great. Thank you. Also,
All
Stephanie
right.
Mack, I wanted to say, she said something about that fear quote, Charles, that you said. She says, it sounds like a recipe for disaster because how can you deal with something you don't know?
That's a good
Which
point.
is, I think that's the
Great
fall
point.
of the Jedi, isn't it?
Yep.
Like,
You just summed up
That's it.
Anakin in a question.
Nice. Great.
Now, on page 60, we get Loden talking to Bell about how he wasn't able to, use the Force to cushion his falls from great heights like we saw throughout the book. And he says, that wasn't much of a fall, really. You barely had time to think before the ground came calling. I get it, Bell. This is my fault. But don't worry, I can fix it. When we're back on Coruscant, I'll throw you off the tallest super towers we can find. Maybe you just need more time to commune with the Force. Some of those towers are thousands of stories tall. You could be falling for minutes, plenty of time. And all that just tells me one thing, and I think you and all the listeners know what that is. Mace Windu lives.
Oh my God! Get the hell out with that.
No, I will never let this go.
I just want Samuel L. Jackson to be in Star Wars again. That's all I want.
No, but
We're throwing
that's good,
Padawans that don't know how to cushion themselves from a fall out of the tallest super towers on Coruscant, and Mace Windu dies. I don't think so.
No. Yep.
Somehow, Mace Windu has returned.
All right.
One day. Now, when we first met Avar Kriss, and we were dealing with what we thought was, the entire great disaster, even though we didn't fully understand it, you'll remember that there was basically a canister of highly flammable gas. I can't remember exactly what they called it. That was headed towards the sun, right? And Avar Kriss was trying to...
Coaxium, wasn't it?
Was it coaxium?
I think it was coaxium.
I thought it was Tabana. Was it Tabana gas?
Or Tabana, something like that.
One of the gases in Star Wars that we know of has a name that blows up. It's one of those. I think it was Tabana. I'm pretty sure.
Not important to the actual question, but the point is,
I just wanted to show off.
Avar Kriss senses that there's something wrong. She hasn't picked up on this capsule basically yet, and she describes it as a missing note in the Song of the Force. And to me, that was very reminiscent of the Yuuzhan Vong in the New Jedi Order, because they had no connection to the Force, and therefore they were actually sensed as like an absence of the Force itself.
Yeah, that's right. That's
sure.
So they were kind of like a missing note in the Song of the Force. So I thought that was kind of a cool, maybe not intentional callback.
Yeah, I will say that, like, you could have held a gun to my head and I could have never come up with the genius that the Force is like music. That was such an absolute genius idea. Charles Soule, like, that's maybe the coolest idea of the Force that I've ever heard. Like, it was so good, and I hope we continue to see that happen. And like, I love that. Like, because that's what a beautiful way to put it. Like, to be able to sense an absence in the Force is one thing, but to like listen to a song and be like, I don't know what it is, but there's a note missing or something from this beat. Like, it just sounds weird. Like, that's so understandable. I love that. It's so good.
Well, I wonder if every writer, because like, then Elzar is the ocean, Buryaga is the forest. I wonder if every writer now that goes in the High Republic is going to be like, here's my Jedi. And their editors go, cool. How do they view the forest? And they go, God, Charles Soule, dang it.
Yeah,
they
exactly.
all have it different.
It works specifically well with the song because you take Buryaga and it's like, It seems like a tree with a leaf missing. We'd be like, okay.
Cool, bro.
It's like a tree with the leaf missing.
All right. On page 90, we get Teami, who, by the way, was a Duros Jedi, and that did a lot for me. I'll just say that.
Thought it might.
But Teami mentions that she once saw a rodeo on the planet Chandar's Folly. And comic readers may remember that place, Chandar's Folly, from the Darth Vader, Dark Lord of the Sith issue number 18, because that's actually the same planet where Tarkin and a band of Imperials were hunting Darth Vader.
Wow. How do you find these freaking Easter eggs, Charles? Good
They
God.
hunt Darth Vader and have rodeos on this planet. Yep. That's the two things they're known for.
And what I love is that Charles Soule wrote that comic, and my favorite freaking thing the Star Wars writers do is reference their own stuff that they've written previously. Because what a flex, wouldn't you? Like, we talked to Alexander Freed about this in the interview when we talked to him last year. He was like, yeah, whenever I want a character, I just pull something I've written because I already know how it works.
Exactly.
I love that. It's
all
great.
Right. On page 107, we get this quote. She had a system full of Jedi working alongside her. They each had their own connection to the Force, perhaps different from hers, but no less powerful. And I felt like that was kind of reinforcing the idea from the Rise of Kylo Ren comic series, that door analogy that we got, right? About, everyone has access to the Force as a matter of how much that door has been opened, essentially.
Right.
Because we get this whole system of Jedi. They're all different, but no one is truly any more powerful than the other.
Yeah, well, because that's especially, I don't know if I'm spoiling a future Easter egg on that, but how Bell describes Loden is how he feels all the fire inside him. And he's like, it's at the edges and it's a raging inferno, but he's not opening that door yet, which makes things like Porter Angle, I feel like when we see him become the Blade, he has so much pressure behind that door. When he cracks it, it all shoots out so intensely that he just slaughters everyone immediately and then closes it back up. Again, like, these visualizations of the Force in canon, man, are freaking unparalleled.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, just a couple of pages later, on page 109, we get this quote. Not only that, but she sensed that other Jedi had brought their focus to bear as well, from Coruscant, from across the galaxy, even Yoda, wherever he was with his little crew of younglings, his great wise mind sang its own part of the chorus, heartbreakingly beautiful, a voice of pure light belying his physical appearance. Not this crude matter indeed. So the second reference to luminous beings are we, that's the second half of that phrase, luminous beings are we, not this crude matter. And she also kind of called Yoda ugly, and that's messed up.
But she also very smartly plugged the High Republic Adventures comic book series from IDW, because that's what he's doing with younglings. So she's a market person. She's a company employee within the book.
I loved all the references to Yoda. That everything that happens on Dagobah is my favorite stuff in all of Star Wars. I've said that before on the show. I love Yoda on Dagobah. The music, his descriptions of the Force to Luke, it's absolutely phenomenal. It'll put me in a true Star Wars mood to watch those scenes and stuff. And like all the references to Yoda, I can't wait. I mean, they're obviously going to do some big stuff with Yoda in this series. So I can't wait to see what else is coming.
Well, I think it's smart. It's kind of like what we like to do with the Mandalorian. Sorry, as I refill my La Croix. It's kind of like what they did with the Mandalorian, which is where they give us all original characters for the first season. And then once they had established themselves, then they started bringing in Boba Fett and Bo-Katan and things like that. I think that's what Yoda's going to be. We're going to get all these Jedi firmly entrenched in their own stories. And then we can bring in Yoda and, the real MVP, Yariel Poof, a little more to really take over the show.
We'll talk more about both of them in a little while. We got some Easter eggs related to them. Page 110, I wanted to just point this fact out. In saving the planet Hetzel, and really the Hetzel system, the Jedi also saved Bacta. by the way.
It's
because
true.
Bacta is first being farmed here in the Hetzel system. So without that huge effort, including Yoda, Luke would have a vat of nothing to float in episode 5.
This is also a little bit of an Easter egg related to the Knights of the Old Republic games, because those games, I forget how the timeline of that, but it's a lot further back than this, I think, right? 800 years.
Old Republic is way longer.
Isn't it 800? I think KOTOR is 800 years before the movies and the films. But anyway,
you're literally building the timeline, bro. I don't freaking know.
I know. I can't remember how far back it is, but there isn't Bacta in, or maybe there's not Bacta in the KOTOR games. There's Kolto. On Manan is the planet, I think. Yep. So I thought that was a really cool tie-in that they made Bacta relatively new in the Star Wars universe, and that's canon now. That's pretty cool.
Yep. That's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. On page 124, we see the Chancellor's pet lions. Okay, and they're called Targans, and their names are Matarai and Voru. And Targan was also the last name of a member of Wraith Squadron in the X-Wing series. It was Wraith 11 LSR Targan. So
no way!
Yeah.
Wow.
Now there's a species as well.
What I also believe they said in one of the behind-the-scenes things that Daniel Jose Older got to name that species.
Oh, cool.
So
well,
he pulled it
my assumption is they didn't know this.
Also,
this name had been used before, but that's fine. But something that has been referenced before, we see Chancellor Soule going to visit the peak of the mountain on Coruscant. Y'all recall this scene?
I do.
That was an awesome scene. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's the highest peak of the Manarai Mountains, and it's the only original piece of landscape left on Coruscant that's still visible, because everything else, the city has been built right over it. And funnily enough, we've actually seen this mountain peak on the screen before. We saw this in the Clone Wars twice, actually. Once in the Duchess of Mandalore episode from season 2, and once in Pursuit of Peace in season 3. I don't think that they ever actually, showed that they're visiting or talk about the fact. Yeah, if you Google like screenshots of this, you actually can see it in the TV series, which is amazing.
That's so cool.
Absolutely gonna do that.
Ooh, and Cheryl brings it up in the chat. Also, in Heir to the Empire, in Legends, they mention it as well.
Yes, they do.
Interesting.
Oh, that's
crazy. I did not know that was in the TV shows at all. Man, what a stretch, man.
So cool.
It's like they know what they're doing.
I know, right? Just a little bit. I also love that scene just philosophically on how that mountain stands for both things, right? Like how you can never completely cover nature, but also nothing is so big that it can't be covered up. And I'm like, ooh, I like it. So well written.
Definitely. Now, a few minutes ago, Eric, you had mentioned Yarael Poof, and we actually get 2 Jedi Masters that we know from the prequels in this book other than Yoda, and that was Yarael Poof and then Oppo Rancisis. And we know that Poof dies on a mission just prior to the Clone Wars, and he got replaced on the council by Coleman Trebor. But Master Rancisis actually survived Order 66, as confirmed by a list of survivors compiled by the Inquisitorius in the Darth Vader Dark Lord of the Sith issue number 19. So he is out there doing something, we don't know what. With his creepy long
fingers. Jedi Masters to survive the High Republic, the prequel era, Order 66, it's freaking Beard Man.
It's him.
That's amazing.
Great. Awesome.
Some other callbacks to the prequels. On page 126, we met Senator Izzet Nor of Sereno, and that is Count Dooku's planet.
That's right.
And naturally, it was his aide, Jenny Wataro, who is a secret spy for the Nile. And it's unclear if Senator Nor was involved in that, but perhaps that's kind of carrying on the link between Sereno and corruption.
Interesting.
Totally. I like that.
I like that.
We'll see. Page 130, so is talking about the Starlight Beacon, and y'all bear with me with this pronunciation, but we get this quote: "We will be there with them helping, from Bundakai to Bastion." And the first time I read those names. I actually said Bunduki, and then I laughed for about 5 minutes, and now I'm choosing to say Bundakai. I have no idea if that's right, but anyways, Bundakai in Legends was actually home to the followers of Palawa, who invented the martial art form of Teras Kasi, the fighting style that Kira uses in Solo: A Star Wars Story, and from the old video game Masters of Teras Kasi. And Bastion, also from Legends, was a planet originally named Sartananian. I see why they changed it. And it served as the capital world of the Imperial Remnant, where the Council of Moths was headquartered. And it first appeared in Spectre of the Past, but was later in A New Jedi Order and Legacy of the Force.
Good
so that
Lord.
was like a 7-word sentence, and it had so much packed into
That
it.
is crazy. Star Wars is so huge, I swear.
Oh my God. You're all a bunch of nerds. You're all a bunch of nerds. That's awesome.
That's incredible.
Yeah, wild. Now, Bel Zettifar named his vector, or the one that he flies with Lone Greatstorm, he named it Nova, and that felt like an intentional callback to Will Lark and his ship in Alphabet Squadron. So, come see Will Lark die in Victory's Prize coming soon. Sorry, Eric.
We'll see. We'll see.
On page 130, we get this quote. Chancellor Soule tapped her index finger on the map, and a single glowing star-like dot appeared, more or less in the center of the region, interdicted by the ongoing hyperspace disaster. And now, this is probably a stretch also, but the word interdicted really jumped out to me, and that's because, remember, interdictor cruisers are Imperial ships equipped with gravity wells capable of pulling other ships out of hyperspace. And we're talking about the Great Disaster, which effectively pulled all ships out of hyperspace.
Oh,
that's true.
Sure.
Yes.
That's
I
clever.
mean, how often do you use the word interdicted, honestly?
Rarely, frankly.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll be honest.
Very rarely.
And real quick, I just want to interject here. And just to clarify, folks know we get books early. We have not read the last Alphabet Squadron book yet, so we did not just spoil it.
I'm glad you pointed that out, because I was going to say something like that too. I haven't read it either.
Charles did. Yeah,
I have no idea.
Have not had time to read it yet. So just to be crystalline clear, that is a theory we proposed months ago. We have not read the book yet.
That is a theory.
It's Roundtable in like 2 months.
That is a theory from the first time that I read Will Lark's name, because he was too pure. To survive a
I just
full
want to
war.
to make sure our listeners don't feel spoiled. We have not read it yet.
Yes.
Anyway, great pull.
Now on page 143, Lorna D, who is the Twi'lek Nile Tempest Runner, she wears armored leather made from the hide of a Kell dragon. And Kell dragons were actually originally created for the 1995 video game Star Wars Dark Forces.
Oh yeah,
great pull.
Get a lot of mileage out of that game lately.
I know.
Star Wars.
That is true. On page 149 at the Nile Feast, we get this quote. He spread his arms, taking them all in while gesturing simultaneously at the feast tables and fountains filled with various intoxicants and death sticks and piles of up powder and down fire. Now, I'm going to assume those are the new Star Wars equivalents to like cocaine and meth. But I was reading that sentence and they said death sticks, and I was like, oh, that's cute. That's a nice reference. And then I got to up powder and down fire, and I was like, that escalated quickly.
There were a lot of Star Wars drugs in this story. That's all I have to say.
Oh, yeah. Bad
Ride
guys,
the storm.
you know?
Ride the storm. On page 150, we get this quote. Markian Rowe pulled off his mask, reaching up and running a hand through his long, dark hair, untangling it. And that's totally like the Kylo Ren moment from The Force Awakens, but like with a shark man instead.
Totally. Love that.
On page 166, B. Blythe is hugging a stuffed Varactyl, and that's the creature that Obi-Wan rides in pursuit of Grievous in Revenge of the Sith, and also was featured in Master and Apprentice by Claudia Gray.
That's right.
On page 168, Otto Blythe is trying to reach help while his family is being attacked by the Nile. And we get this quote, Ogden's Hope maintained a small communal security force, all the claims paid into its budget every year. And that felt very much to me like Danner's claim in the Settler's Call from Kenobi by John Jackson Miller.
Totally.
All of the claims pay into this security network. Yeah, so that was really cool to see.
Yeah.
All right, on page 175, this is getting back to when Avar Kriss and Elzar Mann are on Naboo and they're visiting the San Tekkas, and it very much seems to me that they're standing literally directly where Anakin and Padme get married. Did y'all get that sense as well?
I totally got that.
That is interesting.
100%.
I think they were. Yeah.
I think they. Yeah. I feel like I saw something online about like the name of the islands or whatever. Like it's the same area.
So it's interesting you say that because on the same exact page, we get a mention of someone named Omar Barenko, and he was a poet on Naboo, apparently is what this story says. And in Legends, he was actually mentioned 2 times, once in Darth Plagueis and once in Supernatural Encounters, the trial and transformation of Arhul Hextrophin, which was actually, listen to this,
classic.
A canceled novella written by Joe Bongiorno for the official Star Wars fan club. And that sounds fake, but it's totally not. And I bet Trevor has that on his bookshelf.
That is amazing. Holy crap.
Wow. That's the deepest pull we've ever had.
That one concerns me a little bit. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, I would think so.
Oh, man. On page 186, here's a quote for you. Mark Yenro peered at Mari, who laid in a sealed oblong pod with a clear front panel. Wires ran from it to power sources in the deck, and large tanks of various medical chemicals bubbled nearby, their contents dripping into tubes running into the pod. The machine was essentially one large medical capsule designed to keep Mari as healthy and comfortable as could be managed for a human who had been alive for well over a century. And the fact that this type of medicine was capable in High Republic times, I feel like makes Palpatine's Omen harness a little bit more feasible from The Rise of Skywalker, a little bit less random.
Sure. I get behind that.
Point.
On page 189, speaking of Mari San Tekka, it says she found a new path between Pisana and Erber that should reduce travel time by 1/3 or maybe more. And so we see Pisana is actually somewhat of a known planet before The Rise of Skywalker.
That's clever. I like that. Neat.
Yeah. Page 198, about Porter Engle, we have this quote. Outwardly, the Ikruki was calm, but Bell sensed roiling energy in the man. Porter Engle, the kindly cook, inventor of ingenious dishes and dispenser of useful aphorisms, was being set aside. What was appearing in his place felt like a dormant volcano beginning to wake, simmering and ready, filled with unimaginable power. The ancient Jedi was summoning up a ghost, one of his former lives, a version of himself the Padawans told stories about. Someone the sort of people who attack defenseless settler families should pray they never met. Mm-hmm. And there's no connective tissue there. That's just awesome. And I wanted to read that quote.
It is.
That's it.
Like Porter Engle does not do a lot in this book, frankly. But the description that Soule gives it, like Soule loves this character.
Oh
you
my
can
God,
tell he's like
yes.
he's like begging anyone. He's like, do something with this dude. I have made him epic and incredible in every sentence that he has.
I want a short story collection written by Charles by George Mann.
Of High Republic Jedi,
or I was just gonna say something like an old tales sort of story, like the tales of Porter Engle. Like something like that. Oh, it's just like
that would be cool.
It's his travels. Exactly, his travels along a road. Like he has there's some overarching mission that he has to go on, and he keeps encountering these bizarre tales, like Greek mythology almost, on the road that he's traveling. That'd be incredible.
I can see the cover of it, like the Blade of Bardata, and it's like, all right, George, come on, buddy.
Yep, you got it.
The next pitch.
Well, and you mentioned Porter Engle's nickname, the Blade of Bardata, and we know actually Bardata from the Clone Wars era, and that's when we saw it ruled by Queen Julia, Jar Jar's maybe kind of ex-girlfriend.
Oh,
do y'all remember that? That was Bardata.
That was Bardata?
What?
Yeah. So
Jar Jar and Porter Engle linked.
Hey, officially.
That's it.
Wow. On page 208, we get Buryaga at that awkward Legacy Run Survivors party. And we get this quote. His master knew how much he hated gatherings like this. None of these people would be able to understand him. And then later it has this quote. It was Joss Arden and his wife Pika. Both had drinks in their hands and seemed utterly relaxed. He didn't know how they did it. Maybe it was the drinks. And then finally, later we get, he felt hot and wanted to start panting, but knew some people saw that as a threatening move. And actually, finally, then later we get, he decided to take the opportunity to escape and headed for the refreshment table. So it is now confirmed that Burryaga is all of us at one point in our lives at a social event that we did not want to be at.
That is absolutely
We
it.
sweated, we panted, we escaped to the refreshment table.
Absolutely.
Perfect.
Cheese and crackers. Give me that.
Yep.
All right. Page 224, we get this quote. Kassav had 3 storms up at the top of his Tempest hierarchy: Gravin, Delix, and Wetbub. And the 2021 Youtini for most disgusting name goes to Wetbub, especially because he's a Gungan who got that name because he always returned from battles inexplicably covered in blood.
Just
what does that mean, bro? Does he like cut people open and like pour their blood over his head?
Dude,
like what the hell?
He's like the villainous version of Porter Angle. Not a lot to do, but Soule clearly loves him. Because
did y'all
gross.
see the stuff going around Twitter, the concept art for Wetbub?
Yep. Because it was it was like a dark Jar Jar fan thing, and they're like, this could be Wetbub, and I'm like,
It looked like Jar Jar Binks and like that main orc from the end of Fellowship of the Ring. It looked like a mashup between them.
You mean the Uruk-hai?
Oh, sorry, it's Uruk-hai. Whatever.
Lurtz the Uruk-hai who fought Aragorn.
Lurtz, yeah, that's him. That's the one.
Right.
That's the one.
All
right. Page 236. The Santekes apparently sent a dozen of their navulators, which sounds like a not real job. And there were people who wore implants that wrapped around their shaven heads that allowed them to run circulations with droid-like precision. Lobots? I think they
100%.
just sent Lobots.
That was the vibe that I got too. I definitely thought about that.
Yeah.
Yep. Easily. Lobots.
On page 241, Senator Noor, who we talked about earlier from Sereno, he says every politician could use a Chagrian aid. From his mouth to Palpatine's ears.
That's right.
Also, calling you out here, Charles. Maggie makes a great point. Navulator sounds like not a real job. Yeah, unlike Space Wizard, which is both totally normal and real.
That's true.
Space wizards are real, and you can't tell me differently. Page 257, Loden uses his lightsaber to operate the shoulder cannon from the Jedi Vanguard. And Eric, you referenced this already, but that's a callback to Jocasta Nu using that lightsaber rifle in Darth Vader, Dark Lord of the Sith, issue number 9, if you're looking for that. Issue number 9.
God, it's so cool.
Yeah. And, based on that Easter egg, it seems like a good time to talk about the fact that a similar lightsaber rifle was actually discovered by Luke Skywalker, Ben Solo, and Lor San Tekka in the actual Jedi outpost on Elphrona that Bell, Loden, Indira, and Porter lived in.
Holy crap. Is that real?
Wow.
That's from the comics.
Right.
And
That's
not to mention, it was actually where Luke fought the Knights of Ren. And not to mention, it was where Ben Solo later fought Hennix, Ty, and Vo, as seen in the Rise of Kylo Ren comic. So,
oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh.
So you mentioned earlier, Soule is doing a lot of callbacks to things he's written before. Yeah, you can say that again.
Yeah. Wow.
So that's really cool. Now going back,
God.
I'd really love to reread that comic. I did go pull it out to see. You can see the entrance to the temple, or their outpost rather, where they hang out in those panels. And it was nice to kind of have a mental image of that while reading Light of the Jedi. So page 263, Pika mentions that she and her husband Joss were supposed to take a vacation to Amphar, and that's a tropical planet known as a tourist destination for its beaches. And it was actually first mentioned in Shield of Lies, book 2 of the Black Fleet Crisis series.
Oh my God.
But I do think that is the first appearance that we've gotten of that in canon. So more Great Legends comics.
Not going to fight you on that one.
Going back to Burryaga, you'll have to excuse me that this is kind of stream of consciousness. How come he can't get a translator? Just like
I think that about every Wookiee in Star Wars, and I think it's just Star Wars that does this for some reason. Because there are occasional Wookiees that do that wear like translators and stuff, right?
Well, and there was literally an Ithorian Jedi who had one because no one could understand him. Meanwhile, Burryaga is just like, what am I, chocolate?
It's like, I'm sorry, I don't understand you.
Maybe when because he's only a Padawan right now.
Everybody listen to me. There's a bunch of people on the ship. What the hell is he saying? Somebody translate for us. Like, literally.
We'll see. When we get Grand Jedi Master Buryaga like six years down the road, we'll see if they give him a translator.
Poor Buryaga. All right. On page 300, we get this quote. "Why are we talking about history?" said Efru Shin, the newest member of the council, Amon Calamari, elected by Yoda to hold his seat while the Great Master was on his sabbatical from council business. Now, here's the thing. Star Wars authors like to just say stuff like this casually, but I'm sorry. Hold on a second. Okay, you can have someone save your seat on the Jedi Council. Wait, is this an elementary school cafeteria? This isn't musical chairs. This
don't
is the
anybody,
Jedi Council.
Don't anybody steal my seat. And also, not to mention that this asshole comes in and is like, "Why are we talking about history?" It's like, bro, you don't even belong here. This is Yoda's seat. Shut the hell up. Like,
also, wait, I think we are skipping over the fact that there's a Mon Calamari in a Yoda-sized seat.
Very true.
They're not gonna build a whole new one, right?
I mean maybe they do. Is there like seat builders? Is there Jedi Council seat builders they all have different seats? Like,
there's
that is 100% what Padawans do. Like, this will help you learn patience and resource. And there's
it's like their wood shop. They're just building chairs for various other jobs.
So I would say if you are leaving the council on sabbatical, then whoever you pick has to sit in your exact chair, no matter the species. You gotta sit in that. It's like you gotta go to the kids' table and sit in Yoda's little chair.
Well, can we also point out that Yoda has chosen to take a sabbatical during maybe the most crucial struggle against a new enemy in like history?
Choice.
So
astonishing choice from our guy Yoda.
What's he doing? Is he bored? Like, was the Jedi Council not high enough, not exciting enough for him? Like, what the hell is he taking sabbatical for?
Dude, he's all about the younglings, man. We'll find out in the High Republic Adventures from IDW Comics released weekly, written by Daniel Jose Older, available now.
I assume that's how you live to be 900 years old. You just leave anytime there's anything crazy going on.
I'm old. Dude, I'm leaving. Here, fish, take my seat.
Yeah, vacations. Take vacations.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. All right, Yoda, I expect more from you moving forward. On page 324, we get Jorah Mally, and we're going to talk a lot about her when we get to our Into the Dark Roundtable, but we learned that she actually purged a Sith Kyber crystal and now has a white lightsaber blade, just like Ahsoka, but a long time beforehand. So it's cool.
Yeah. Love any crystal lore. Give it to me.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, page 334, after breaking his leg, we get this quote about Loden. Loden brought the pain management exercises he knew to mind, and while he realized on some level that he was in agony, he was able to bottle it up and put it aside. The trick wouldn't last forever. You couldn't fool the body indefinitely, but hopefully it would see him through whatever came next. And so there's your callback to Anakin and his femurs getting knitted in Queen shout out by E.K. Johnson, and also of Qui-Gon, because, we learned that, he might have been using some of those abilities after he'd been stabbed. I believe we talked about to be able to talk to Obi-Wan after his battle with Darth Maul. After breaking his leg, by the way, Loden uses a stem to help him through. So it's not just the Force. He's also doing them drugs.
Them adrenal drugs.
Any chance I get to reference that, I will. On page 344, we get this quote. Krenara had seen a reek hunt once on Ylesia.
Seen a what?
Of course. The reek hunt. Oh God. Okay. We really are going to get kicked off Twitter. All right. The reek, the hunt of the reeks, as we're talking about, is the rhino-like creature from the Geonosian arena in Attack of the Clones. But Ylesia was the thing that really caught my eye.
Yes.
Because that's the planet from Paradise Snare, book 1 of the Han Solo trilogy by A.C. Crispin.
Yeah,
I like ran out into the kitchen. I was like, Charlie, Silesia. Yes.
I have a random Easter egg that occurred to me that I think you've already passed. So I'm going to throw it out. If you already have it in the list, you have to let me know. Kassav holds hostage Ariadu is the planet that he holds hostage, right?
Yes.
Ariadu, he describes them. He finds out that they're like a planet full of a bunch of warriors. That's the planet that Grand Moff Tarkin is from, and his entire backstory is all outlined in the Tarkin book about how crazy the culture on Ariadu is, and makes you do these like rite of passages to become a man type of thing. And it's like crazy survival shit. So it's like, what an excellent planet to do a bad job of holding hostage.
Yeah. Corey, who wrote that Tarkin book again? Who's
that? Is James Luceno. Excellent author.
Right.
Yeah, no, I actually don't think I had that on my list, but absolutely you're right. And it's very fitting that they kind of played a hand in the destruction of Kassav and his Tempest as well. So on page 369, we learn that the architect Palo Hidala is responsible for designing the Jedi Temple in Starlight Beacon. So that's got to be a Tuckerism, right, for Pablo Hidalgo.
Oh, my God, absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
And speaking of, actually, there is a Tuckerism in the Darth Vader, Dark Lord of the Sith comic series when the Jedi Selrach Elus, which is Charles Soule backwards, is also one of the confirmed surviving Jedi after Order 66.
I'd do it.
So I would do it too. I would do it too. And you know what's funny is, as a kid, you know, you do stupid stuff where you like look at your name spelled backwards and stuff. And so I saw Selrach and I was like, that's Charles backwards, because that's my name too. And then I was like, wait a minute. Yeah. So yeah, absolutely. Now, to round this out, I want to close with one of the most beautiful passages, I think, from the entire book. And it's one that marks the close of this particular book, but also really it's a perfect launch to this whole era of Star Wars. And so it's on page 372, and it says, across the atrium, against the stars, lightsabers ignited, hundreds in all the colors of the Jedi Order, a salute held high. In space outside the station, anyone who looked would see a surging glow rush from the beautiful open space at its heart, pushing back the darkness, the light of the Jedi. I mean, there's no better way to end the roundtable than that. The light of the Jedi, the title of the book, in essence, was a reference to this beautiful tribute at the end of the book in the launch of Starlight Beacon.
Yeah, for sure. That scene in the audiobook was incredible. I meant to clip it out. I forgot about it until you literally read it just now. But like that scene in the audiobook had this really epic music playing. Like, I recommend you go and listen to it. It's incredible.
Beautiful.
Absolutely. All right, that's all I have. You'll have to throw out in the chat or in the YouTube comments later on any big Easter eggs that I might have missed. But now I think we have to go back around and we have to re-rate this book and give any closing thoughts that we have. So, Eric, let's go to you first. I think you rated the book first the first time around. So what would you give it now?
This book absolutely remains a 10 out of 10 for me. It is I think it's still my favorite Star Wars book. I think it did it. Talking about it, everything we talked about during these 3 episodes, I loved. Every character, every part, and I got so excited every time to come on this show. Not only talk to you guys, which I love, but to talk about this book specifically. And I've never had an experience quite like it. I am so happy this started the era. I can't wait for Rising Storm to kind of carry this story with Cavan later in the summer. And that is, it remains a perfect 10. Well done.
Fantastic. All right, Corey, what do you think?
I'm also going to keep this book at a perfect 10 for me. Like, I think the only books I've ever given 10s are this one, Master and Apprentice. Actually, I don't think I gave Master and Apprentice a perfect 10, but it would have been very close. And then in the most recent Thrawn book, Chaos Rising, is that what it was? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Thrawn Ascended Chaos Rising, I gave that one a perfect 10 too. And like, these books are all in my top 5. Like, for sure. I absolutely love this book. I thought that Charles Soule hit all the criteria in which we review books, right? Originality, writing, entertainment, plot, and characters. Yes, he absolutely, like, he had 10 out of 10 in all of those 5 categories. And that's, like I say, if you hit a perfect score in all categories, that makes it, by definition, a perfect 10. So I really, really enjoyed this book. I thought that, like, it's no wonder that everybody is just thirsting for more of the High Republic after a kickoff like this, because it's absolutely an incredible, incredible novel. And the highest rated Youtini adult novel that we have so far, a canon adult novel that we have so far. The only other one that's this high, I think, is Revenge of the Sith novelization is this high at least, and Lost Stars is this high at least as well.
Yep.
Yeah, and I'm with y'all, other than the fact that I don't think I can give it a perfect 10, but I don't know what I gave it the first time around. It was above a 9. I'm gonna say a 9.5. I think
that's where you started.
It's where I started. Okay.
Because you hate it, and that's fine. That's why you know.
Yeah, I mean, it's just not that great. No, I love this book. I don't know that I'll ever give anything a 10 until I get, I don't know. It would have to be something involving Obi-Wan. Kenobi's right. Maybe as close to a 10 as I can get. But yeah, I mean, perfect way to launch this era. Not a page really was wasted. There's so many questions. I mean, look, this was our first ever 3-part roundtable, and we probably could have stretched it even further, but we got to move on to other things. So fantastic way to start this, and I can't wait for more. And on that note, Eric, I think you're going to kind of talk us through what's coming up. What's next for the High Republic? Where do we go from here?
Absolutely. So coming up, everyone, earlier this month, Claudia Gray's Into the Dark was released. That, again, number 1 on the New York Times bestseller list of YA novels. A lot of people have loved it. We've had reviews up. So that's the next big story. Of course, Justina Ireland's A Test of Courage actually came out the same day as this. So if you're reading everything, those are the 2 stories that are out right now. As well, Kevin Scott's High Republic comic, 2 issues are out currently, with issue 3 coming up. And issue 1 of Daniel Jose Older's The High Republic Adventures is out currently, whichever comics are sold. So looking ahead, Youtini-wise, next week, we have our big Youtini Living Force 100th episode. We're gonna celebrate the ride we've had so far, have a couple surprises for everyone, and that will be on YouTube live at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Again, YouTube next week, next Monday, 8 p.m. Eastern. And then High Republic-wise, either, and we'll talk about this off air, 1 or 2 weeks after that, or 3 weeks after that, we'll see how the schedule works out. Our Into the Dark 2-part roundtable will be coming up. We'll go back to our regular format for that. And then coming up, we got The Rising Storm from Kevin Scott. We got more stuff coming out. Of course, check the Youtini release schedule for everything High Republic. And monthly, the comics are both coming out at this point. So we have no shortage of High Republic content to look forward to, and I cannot freaking wait. But on that note, my friends, we're going to go away for the night, and that's going to do it for this week's episode of The Living Force. If you're already supporting us on Patreon, head on over to Discord. Tell us how much you love the show. We are not doing Aftermath tonight because we ran late. We will be doing a giant Aftermath show next week after the 100th to just celebrate with you all and have some fun. So make sure you hang out for that show next week. A special thank you goes out to Cheryl Bell, Patrick Ortiz, and Carl Sander on our Jedi High Council, and Kyle Heckman, Elizabeth Cloutier, Jason Mitchell, Freddie C., and Sally and Chris Eilerson on our Alliance High Command for their amazing support of this show and all things Youtini. You can find us on Twitter. I'm at Eric Eilerson. Corey is at Doc Star Wars MD. Charles is at Z Henkel. And Wes is at Boss Wes. Hope you're okay, buddy. A special thank you goes out to Matt Davenport, our amazing editor, Ryan, our graphic designer extraordinaire, and Wes, our producer and community manager. Thank you to Corey and Charles for podcasting with me tonight. Thank you to all of you for joining our last show on Twitch. We'll see you next week on YouTube. And as always, we are all the Republic.